Hello there, and welcome back to Archaeosoup Towers for story time, Halloween month 2021. As has fast become tradition around these parts, at this time of year, I find and read for you a historical or an ancient ghost story. And today, we might possibly have the oldest known ghost story for you, or it's certainly one of the oldest ghost stories that we have on record. It's actually so old, it's often just called a ghost story, and it's all about the high priest Khonsuemheb and the ghost. This is the best known ghost story from ancient Egypt, and it dates to the New Kingdom period in Egypt. That's between 1570 and 1069 BCE, or thereabouts. The story actually exists today on 4 fragments of pottery known as ostraca, or singular ostrakon. And this is actually something that I've talked about in a previous video. It's actually one of the roots for the word ostracized, when people have voted perhaps for someone to have to leave a community or leave a place. It comes from the ancient Greek tradition of voting using broken bits of pottery as your ticket for your vote. So writing on pottery, using pottery for utilitarian purposes was common throughout the ancient world. And in this instance, 4 pieces of pottery were used to record a story about a haunting. Today, these ostraca are found in museums in Paris, Florence, Vienna and Turin, and each one relates another section of the ghost story. However, the beginning and the conclusion for our tale at the moment are unknown. They have not yet been recovered. In fact, the article that I'm quoting from here, it's an encyclopedia entry, rather, I think optimistically says, has not yet been found. It may never be found, the beginning and the end of this story, but nonetheless, the middle is interesting, and there's something there to talk about. Some scholars claim that that this is a copy of a much older story from the Middle Kingdom of Egypt, although that's disputable, and actually in our analysis of this story with the Egyptologist Karakuni coming at the end of the week, we'll hear why actually this story fits quite nicely in the period that it seems to have been written down. So there are reasons to dispute the notion of this being an older story, but it does reference older times, as we shall see. This is all about a ghost who wants to be remembered and wants their tomb to be restored. And while the main character, Khonsuemheb himself, the priest, the high priest, may be fictitious, the setting of the necropolis at Thebes would have been familiar to people hearing this tale, and so that they would have been able to place it in the world. They would have had a sense of what was happening where, and how the story unfolded. So it's actually a lesson in many ways, grounded in the real world for the contemporary audience for the story. So, are we sitting comfortably? Then I shall begin, not least by removing this nose. Unfortunately, not only does it affect my voice, but also I can't read past it. In the context of reading a story, that's quite important. So I'll set the nose to one side for the duration of the tale. But the beginning of the story, while lost to time technically, has a fairly clear setting. It's clear that there is a haunting in the Theban necropolis. There's a restless spirit, a meandering, wretched ghost who is unhappy. And it may well be that a member of the public, or more likely someone who works and lives in amongst the valleys, the land of the dead, tending to the graves, has seen this spirit, has been unnerved by it, and has reported the haunting to the high priest Khonsuemheb himself. It's interesting because those people would have been accustomed to the idea of living amongst the dead, but clearly when a spirit is unhappy, it's only the high priest himself who can actually intervene in a helpful way. And with that in mind, That's more or less where the story begins. It is a broken text, but the first sort of complete sentence begins with word reaching Khonsuemheb, the high priest. And here we go. He ferried across and reached his house. He caused offerings to be prepared, saying, I will provide him with all sorts of good things when I go to the west side. The west side being the necropolis, being the land of the dead. He went up onto the roof of his house and invoked the gods of the sky and the gods of the land, southern, northern, western, and eastern, and the gods of the necropolis, saying to them, Send to me that august spirit. And so he came and said to him, I am he who must go to rest at nightfall next to his tomb. I.e., not in his tomb, but next to his tomb. Then the high priest of Ammon, Khonsuemheb, said to him, Please tell me your name, your father's name and your mother's name, that I may offer to them and do for them whatever has to be done for those who are in their position. The august spirit then said to him, Nebuchadnezzar is my name, Anchmen is my father's name, and Diotimshas is my mother's name. Then the high priest of Ammon-Re, king of the gods, Khonsuemheb, said to him, Tell me what you want, and I will have it done for you. I will have a sepulchre prepared anew for you. I will have a coffin of gold and ziziphus wood made for you, and you shall rest therein. And I will have it done for you all that is done for one in your position. The august spirit then said to him, No one can be overheated who is exposed to the wintry wind, hungry without food. It is not my desire to overflow like the inundation. Not seeing my tomb, I would not reach it. There have been made to me promises. Now, after he finished speaking, the high priest of Ammon-Re, king of the gods, Khonsuemheb, sat down and wept beside him, with a face full of tears, and he addressed the spirit, saying, How badly you fare. You see, at this point, the ghost is saying that he is wandering in the cold. He is not being fed. His tomb isn't being tended, and promises have been made to him previously that this state of affairs would be fixed, and it hasn't been fixed. Without eating or drinking, without growing old or becoming young, without seeing sunlight or inhaling northerly breezes, darkness is in your sight each day. You do not get up early to leave. Then the spirit said to him, When I was alive upon earth, I was overseer of the treasury of King Mentuhotep, and I was lieutenant of the army, having been at the head of men and nigh to the gods. I went to rest in year 14 of Mentuhotep's reign, during the summer months of the king of Upper and Lower Egypt. He gave me my 4 canopic jars and my sarcophagus of alabaster, and he had done for me all that is done for one in my position. He laid me to rest in my tomb with its shaft of 10 cubits. See, the ground beneath has deteriorated and dropped away. The wind blows there and seizes a tongue. Now as for you, having promised me, I shall have a sepulchre prepared anew for you. I have it 4 times already, that it will be done in accordance with them. But what am I to make of the promises you have just made to me, so that all things may succeed in being executed? Then the high priest of Ammon-Re, king of the gods, Khonsuemheb, said to him, Please express to me a fine commission, such as is fit to be done for you, and I will surely have it done for you. Or I will simply have 5 men servants and 5 maid servants, totaling 10, devoted to you. in order to pour libation waters for you. And I will have a sack of emmer wheat delivered daily and be offered to you. And also the overseer of offerings will pour libations of water for you as well. Then the spirit of Nebuchadnezzar said to him, "Of what use are these things you would do? Unless a tree is exposed to sunlight, it does not sprout foliage. But stone never proceeds to age, it crumbles only." In other words, I need action. I need you to actually water the tomb. I need you to actually look after this plant, to actually remember where I'm buried, to actually honour my resting place, in order for it to thrive, to have an afterlife in the memories of the living, but also in order to be able to fully engage with the world of the dead. Now the text is a bit broken once more, but it picks up again with the full title, another repetition of the high priest's status. The high priest of Amon-Ra, king of the gods, commissioned 3 men. Each one he ferried across and went up to the necropolis. And there the men searched for the tomb near the holy temple of King Nepertre, son of Mentuhotep, who was the king that the ghost seemingly served under and died in the 14th year of Mentuhotep's reign. So there's a physical connection between these tombs that are close to each other in time. And there they found it, being 25 cubits distant along the King's Causeway at Deir el-Bahari. They went back down to the riverbank where Khonsuemheb was waiting, and returned to the high priest of the king of the gods, Amon-Ra, and found him officiating in the god's house, the temple of Amon-Ra, king of the gods. Lots of repetition. He said to them, "Hopefully you've returned, having found the excellent place for making the name of the spirit called Nebuchadnezzar endure unto eternity." Then the 3 of them said to him with one voice, "We have found the excellent place for making the name of the august spirit endure." And so they sat down in his presence and made holiday. His heart became joyful when they told him. The sun came up from the horizon, and then he summoned the deputy of the estate, Amun Menkau, and informed him about this project. He returned in the evening to sleep in Ne, and that's where the text breaks off. But I've been informed that to sleep in town. So he returned in the evening to home. Basically, he went back across the river, back to where Khonsuemheb lived, and seemingly the problem was solved. The ghost would be placated. The tomb would be in some way renewed. Offerings would be made. And Nebuchadnezzar's name would be remembered and honoured and endure unto eternity. It's a story I've been wanting to tell you and to share for a few years now, actually. But every time I've come to it, I've been put off by the fact that the beginning and the end were seemingly missing. But I think the context is clear, and the very end of the story seemingly is simply Khonsuemheb returning home, a job well done. So I think it still works, and we get an insight into a very real problem, a deterioration of tombs, looting of tombs, in fact, but we'll talk more about that with Cara at the end of the week. But also we get that sense of fear, a fear of being lost, of your memory, your achievements, your name no longer being remembered and honoured, and through that being essentially doomed to wander in the cold and be lost in this world where the living and the dead are living, well, almost on top of each other in terms of the sunrise and sunset, but also the land of the dead, literally the necropolis, where you could seemingly bump into a ghost if you hadn't been looking after their tomb properly. So that was a ghost story, so-called, one of the oldest ghost stories in the world. And of course, at the beginning of the month, I invited you to write your own spooky archaeological tale, totaling 666 words or fewer. This handsome trophy is what is up for grabs, and so far we've had a few entries. I'm looking forward to sifting through them with Mrs. Soup at the weekend to see who is the winner of this marvellous prize. But you do have a few days left. The deadline is at the end of Sunday, so Sunday I think it's the 24th, this Sunday coming. If you're interested in writing a spooky ghost story, having heard a little bit of ancient inspiration, please do give it a go. I'm looking forward to seeing what people have come up with. Yesterday someone told me about their story which is set in a spooky cave. I'm very much intrigued. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that story. Do check out the discussion that follows at the end of the week for a full context as to what's going on and the implications of the story. It's a good conversation that Cara and I had. And until next time, do take care. Bye bye.